The cold rain fell like a curtain over the gas station parking lot that night. The world was gray, the air thick with the smell of oil, asphalt, and something darker. Tension. Inside the small convenience store, beneath flickering fluorescent lights, a young woman stood silently by the counter, her hood dripping with rainwater, her eyes fixed on the floor. Her name was Lieutenant Commander Rachel Hayes, former Navy SEAL, combat medic, and one of the few women to ever serve in the elite Tier 1 unit. But nobody in that store knew that. To them, she looked like a tired traveler, another stranger passing through a forgotten town. The group of men who stumbled in behind her didn't care to know either. They were loud, drunk, and careless, their laughter sharp enough to cut through the quiet night. The tallest of them, broad-shouldered, wearing a leather jacket, sneered when he noticed Rachel standing there. Something about her calm composure irritated him. Maybe it was her silence. Maybe it was the way she didn't move aside when he brushed past her. Or maybe it was because deep down, bullies always sense when they're standing near something stronger than themselves. He mumbled something crude as he passed, expecting her to flinch. She didn't. She just looked at him once, not with fear, but with that piercing calm that only comes from years of staring danger in the eyes and never backing down. It was that look that enraged him. The next moment happened fast. His arm jerked out, sharp and sudden. The edge of his elbow struck her across the face. The crack echoed through the store, followed by the shocked silence of everyone inside. The cashier froze mid-scan. The two other men laughed until she turned her head back toward them. Rachel didn't say a word. She simply straightened her hood, wiped the blood from her lip, and looked up. Her eyes, cold, blue, unshaken, locked on him. For the first time, the man hesitated. There was something ancient, something dangerous in that stare, the kind of look that soldiers recognize on battlefields, not in gas stations. He didn't know it yet, but in that single heartbeat, he had just made the worst mistake of his life. Rachel had been quiet for months. After her last deployment in Syria, she'd come home broken, not in body but in spirit. She'd lost her best friend, Petty Officer Marcus Lane, in an ambush. She'd carried his body through the desert while bullets chased her shadow. The Navy had called her a hero, awarded her medals she never wore, and sent her home to a life that didn't feel like hers anymore. Every night she dreamed of the screams, the gunfire, the sand soaked in red. So she drove, from town to town, from coast to coast, trying to outrun the ghosts. Until tonight. As the man grinned, she took one step forward. Her movements were slow, deliberate, the kind that makes your instincts scream before your mind catches up. The other men started to back away, their laughter dying. Within seconds, the one who hit her found himself pinned against the candy rack, his arm twisted behind his back, his body locked in place by precision and power. He gasped, unable to move, unable to fight. She didn't punch him. She didn't shout. She just leaned in close and whispered, "Walk away." He tried to struggle, and that was his second mistake. A single shift of her wrist and he was on the ground, gasping for air, arm immobilized. His friends rushed forward, 3 against 1, but Rachel's body moved like it remembered every battle she'd ever fought. A sweep, a strike, a controlled takedown. They never even touched her again. Within moments, all 3 were on the floor, groaning, stunned, and humiliated. She stepped back, eyes cold but filled with something deeper, not anger but disappointment. "You think hitting a woman makes you strong?" she said quietly. "Try hitting someone who fights for you to have that choice." The cashier, still trembling, finally spoke. "Who are you?" he whispered. Rachel gave a faint, tired smile. Just someone who's seen worse than this. She dropped a few bills on the counter for the bottle of water she'd come for, then walked out into the rain without looking back. Outside, the night was quiet again. The rain had softened into a drizzle, and the hum of passing cars filled the silence. Rachel leaned against her truck for a moment, breathing deeply. Her hands shook, not from fear but from the rush of adrenaline, the flood of memories. She'd spent years holding back the strength that had once saved lives. Tonight she hadn't wanted to use it. But sometimes fate doesn't ask permission. It demands purpose. The next morning the story was everywhere. The security footage had leaked. A lone woman defending herself with surgical precision against 3 attackers. News outlets picked it up, calling her the Mystery SEAL. Veterans online recognized the technique instantly, a signature move taught only in advanced SEAL combat training. Before long, reporters found her name, her service record, and the truth. The woman who had silently walked away from a fight she didn't start had once carried wounded men out of gunfire. Rachel didn't want the attention. She didn't want to be famous or praised. She wanted people to remember what strength really looked like. Not brutality, not dominance, but control. True power, she believed, was never in striking first. It was in knowing you could, but choosing not to. Weeks later, one of the men from that night came to find her. He'd been sober since the incident, his arm still in a sling, his pride even more broken. He didn't come for revenge, he came to apologize. When he stood before her, his voice cracked. "You could have destroyed me that night," he said. "Why didn't you?" Rachel looked at him for a long time before replying. "Because that's not who we fight for. We fight so people can have second chances, even if they don't deserve them yet." He nodded, tears in his eyes. And for the first time in a long while, Rachel felt something shift inside her. Not peace, but the beginning of it. The world had taken much from her, but it hadn't taken her humanity. In the years that followed, Rachel used her story to help other veterans heal, not through violence, but through purpose. She worked with trauma survivors, taught self-defense to women, and spoke at schools about what it truly meant to serve. The clip of that night still circulates online, but what people don't see in those few seconds of footage is the years of pain, resilience, and strength that came before it. That night at the gas station wasn't just a fight, but it was a moment of revelation, a moment that reminded Rachel that heroes aren't made by what they survive, but by how they rise afterward. And sometimes, when the ghosts of her past return, she still hears Marcus's voice in her mind, calm, steady, the way he used to sound on missions. "You did good, Hayes, you did good." If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Legends of History. Every story we tell honors the courage, the pain, and the quiet strength of those who serve, seen and unseen. Special request. In the comments, tell us, what does true strength mean to you?